Sports build champions and leaders, but every champion has moments of struggle, pressure, anxiety, burnout, and those moments deserve real support. PAX Health is proud to sponsor the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast because they believe mental health care should be available when you need it, as you need it. Therapy and psychiatric services for kids, teens, communities, and families. Telehealth and in-person appointments are available within 48 hours. PAX Health, people helping people. Visit pax.health. That's PAX.health. Lacrosse families, meet Orgo, the calendar app that actually thinks like a sports parent. Orgo syncs with team apps you already use and enriches schedules with real-world logistics. Every event shows travel times, early arrival buffers, carpool assignments, conflict alerts, and time-specific weather so you know what gear to pack. Get your athletes on it too. Orgo teaches time literacy, an executive skill for life. One subscription, whole family. Code LAX25 is 25% off. Just $44 locks in sanity for the whole year. Visit www.orgohq.com. That's www.orgohq.com. JAG Physical Therapy, providing rehabilitative recovery from sports and soft tissue injuries to knee, foot, ankle, hip, shoulder, elbow, and back injuries. Schedule your appointment with JAG Physical Therapy today and meet their experienced team of physical therapists, occupational therapists, athletic trainers, and exercise physiologists invested in your full recovery. Get back the life you love at JAG Physical Therapy, the most awarded physical therapy provider in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, just visit jagpt.com. That's JAGPT.com. This is the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Glock.
I'm Bill Tharp.
I'm Anthony Terranova.
And this here is Gil Swenson. Welcome to the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome into episode 15 of the 2026 New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast, where the only constants are death, taxes, and the lax numbers being dead on balls accurate, as Mona Lisa Vito would say, in predicting the first couple rounds of the NJS IAA tournament. I'm your host, Keith Glock, and joining me as always, my companions, Bill Tharp and Tony Terranova. Once again, no Gil Swenson. So, boys, welcome into week 15.
Welcome. First week, well, I guess second week in a way. Playoffs in the books and everything going according to plan, as Lax Numbers has it. I think three upsets going to the round that we just finished up with, and now I think we're up to four, maybe five upsets. 8-9, 1-7-10. So everything's kind of going as we expected it to go. Lax Numbers is a great thing; it's pretty accurate, but it's still some good lacrosse being played out there as every single day, more and more teams end their season.
Tharp, you done being mad at me now that we're recording?
No, I'm not. I'm still mad, but it's fine. I'll get over it. Hey, I don't want to. I'm truly not looking to derail us this early in the podcast, but Brock, I was reflecting on what you were telling us last week with your, news regarding, lax numbers. Basically the state saying, "Hey, lax numbers is really good. Our formula is not perfect yet. You guys can keep using lax numbers until we think our formula is essentially up to par." And I was thinking, and I didn't even want to text you in the group chat because I think this is a good organic conversation. Do you know, or did you get any inclination of like how we know this? Like, when will the state? Excuse me. What would it take for the state to be satisfied with their formula in regards to lax numbers, and therefore lax numbers truly going away? Did you get any details like that?
No, I didn't get into that, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm surmising that they value the input of the seating committee. They value the input of the lacrosse committee writ large, which is a little bit of a bigger room that meets again in a couple of weeks in late June. So I would imagine that it's going to be a dynamic item, that they'll listen to what everybody has to say, and if the group feels like it's a good thing, that would be good. And I also would think that there's no reason why we couldn't keep making tweaks. If we think that we have it, and then we maybe figure out we need to make some small adjustments year over year, I would imagine that people would be open to that.
Not even too far off the rails, just a slight little.
No, that was good.
Little hitch.
That was good. Tharpy, to explain what everybody, Bill was mad at me yesterday, and that would be Sunday, the 31st of May, because he wanted to record last night, and I said, why don't we just wait till round 2 of the tournament is actually over instead of making prognostications of it. So I appreciate you forgiving me, Bill, now that we are through 2 rounds.
It was just a long night. It's late.
I know.
Papa Bear gets tired. So
and you're excited.
This is a late night, a lot of meetings, but you know what? We're here.
Look,
we're professionals, Glock. We show up.
You're excited, and I appreciate that about you. So let's get to the opening face-off. I have won the draw, and obviously we're focused on New Jersey high school lacrosse, and this is, while not a New Jersey high school player in 2026, I want to direct the ball here over to the wing to Mr. Terranova to talk about a former New Jersey high school lacrosse player who was just given the Tewaaraton Award, the college lacrosse's Heisman Trophy, if you will. Mr. Terranova, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I have to shout out Shawn Lyght, first defenseman, any player outside really of offense to win the award. It's a pretty big deal to win that award, just like it is the Heisman Trophy. But to be the first person to do it that is not an offensive player, I think speaks volumes to not only the importance of the game and how it's going, but the importance of what he does and what he provides to his teams. He's not the most flashy player in the world, but to have a complete eraser on the defense side of the ball, I think is something that is very, very undervalued in the game today. Obviously with the club circuit that I do, and talking to all these coaches, Tharp's in that bubble as well. It's easy to, and a lot of these guys want the takeaway guy who's scoring goals in transition and doing all those great fancy things, picking up crazy ground balls, throwing BTBs up the field. But there's something to be said about someone that can say, hey, you're going to take away that guy's best player today. And I was fortunate to coach Shawn for 3 years at Seton Hall. Would have been a 4th year, but we had that COVID year, so I didn't, he would have been a freshman anyway. But just to, see his development over the years, see him just take a whole nother step when he got to college has been pretty awesome to watch. It's pretty rewarding as a coach, for sure, even though I had probably very little to do with it. Just to say, I got to coach the kid up is good enough for me. But he deserves it. He is so good. I just remember, drawing up game plans, and I didn't have to ever worry about the other team's top player, whether that was at midfield or at attack, whatever it was. He was going to race the kid, and if the kid scored 1 goal, it was like a pretty big deal, at least in high school. I think I can count on, he started for us every single game for 2 years, because again, that freshman year was the COVID year, and I think I can count on one hand the amount of times that he ever let up a goal in a one-on-one situation in practice or in a game. So that's what he brings to the table, and the fact that he's doing it against the best players in the world at the college level. Just want to shout out to him, and that's the 2nd New Jersey guy in a row. So for all those people that say Long Island and Maryland might have better lacrosse, we're the ones winning the big awards over here in New Jersey.
And I think you watch Shawn play, and anybody with eyes can kind of see some of that stuff. What about the kind of person that he was? Because you got to spend a lot of time around him as a human being. What kind of stuff did he bring to Seton Hall and to that locker room?
I mean, he's a culture builder. He's a culture setter in every aspect of the game. He was a captain for us when I was there. Just someone that you listen to, that everyone listened to. If he said something, a player would do it. Even some of those knuckleheads that were, tough to coach at times. If Shawn Lyght said it, it was going to get done. And obviously that carries over to Notre Dame. That carries over to when he plays for the USA team, which he obviously is going to continue to do. But he is just an outstanding young man on and off the field. the goal of saying is like I would let him date my daughter type situation. Like he is that kind of kid. I think he's that respectful. And he's always going. He has great family, great parents. So there's certainly no regard that he's as good on the field as he is off the field, and that's might be most important.
Yeah, no doubt. Pretty freaking awesome. Congratulations to Shawn. Congratulations to New Jersey High School Lacrosse. Congratulations to you as a coach. So, pretty cool moment for everybody involved last week.
Fun fact, his senior year highlight tape, he clipped us talking about him from this podcast. So many people are saying that we helped propel Shawn Lyght to the Tewaaraton.
Yeah, no one's saying that. Okay,
Nope,
next.
not even a little.
He's
All
still
right.
he's how like you see those like like it's in college football, it's like, oh, like the kid in math class has to now go guard like Jeremiah Smith or whatever. Like it's crazy to think like the average kid from like what's Livingston High School, actually, we were talking about that. Like the average kid from Livingston that had to go like dodge Shawn Lyght in a game, like
Yep.
dude, like when we say like that kid was an eraser of worlds, like he was so freaking good in high school. And he made it look so effortless.
He
But
really did.
hey,
He really
you
did.
can't give him the NJ.com player of the year.
Don't
It's
even get me started, dude. Do you know that was one of the biggest gripes I've ever had?
Hey,
why? I
we
don't
gotta
understand.
listen.
Didn't get NJ Player of the Year. Didn't get the Player of the Year in general. Like, just don't get me wrong. Colin Field was an absolute stud, but yeah, it was just like, come on now. That's what I'm talking about. The flashy offensive guy gets the award, scores all these points, all these goals, but it's not the guy that can just erase every single person off human earth.
I think it's interesting because it's like, and Glock, you're the college guy here in many ways. Like the
Ooh,
tour time was so fascinating this year because like, you know, Spalina and Syracuse, fell a little short. And like Kabiri and like he actually wasn't even a first team All American. So like the Tewaaraton, it was like, Glock, I said I kind of defer to you. Like Glock, what do you think of the decision to give it to take Shawn being a New Jersey guy out of it? Like, what is your opinion on them giving it to a defenseman? If it
um,
was did it feel like to you it was like there's not as many great suggestions, so like everyone respects this guy? Like, I'm truly asking.
no, it was a. I actually thought it was an interesting situation that I felt personally that if they didn't limit it to just the 5 people that had to be nominated, because there's like a Tewaaraton watch list that happens all year, right? And then they just shrink it down to the invite list of who's going to go. That if they left the list a little longer of like here's the people that could actually win it at the end, that I would have went Chad Palumbo, or I honestly think that if they left the list longer, another New Jersey guy would have won it, and that would have been Ryan Craddock. I mean, you cannot undersell what Craddock did for Princeton there, and I've been saying it all year about him, and really kind of for the last 2 years. I didn't, and this is not a knock on Craddock. He was a great goalie in high school. I never saw this. I never saw like this coming, of him being this good in college. He was certainly a fantastic high school player, but there's a lot of fantastic high school players. To watch him play over the last couple of seasons for Princeton, I thought he was a complete difference maker in all the games that like nobody watched. You go do a game on a Tuesday night there, and I'm like, he is a wall, and he doesn't give up rebounds. Like that's such an underrated thing. He just catches the ball, and then he throws dots to guys. So I really thought that it would have been Craddock's, and that's why I think he was the MVP of the tournament. I thought that was pretty clear. But to answer your question, I had no problem with it because it's inclusive of the postseason, and I think to your point, maybe 3 guys on the list, hadn't they kind of maybe played their teams played them out of the Tewaaraton, and then it was down to Kabiri and Lyght, and Lyght pretty much put an emphatic statement on, whoever was going to have the better game there, seemingly was going to win the award. And, to Princeton's credit, they didn't need Kabiri to win the game because of how talented the team was writ large. But, Kabiri is an unbelievable player. And for Shawn to do what Nova was talking about, you just basically say, okay, he's not going to do anything today. But made Princeton have everybody else do it, and to their credit, they did. But so I have no issue with it. Wait, and behind the scenes, the talk of when, why am I losing my mind here? From North Carolina, the attackman who was hurt.
Duffy.
Duffy.
Yes, Owen Duffy. When Duffy got underneath Lyght and scored that and drew a penalty from Lyght, in the officiating circles, it was like, hey guys, Shawn Lyght just committed a penalty. Like, people were talking about it because he doesn't get beaten, he doesn't commit penalties. Like, it's an unbelievable thing that he is able to accomplish week in and week out, and it's one of those things that because it just doesn't look hard. And you're like, well, how good could he be? It's like, whatever. Just, he's a wall. He's a wall. Congratulations to him.
I think that's so true. He truly makes it look effortless. Like it's you couldn't tell he was trying. It's just like, oh, that kid just was held pointless today. Like, but Nova, as the father of daughters, we should acknowledge Sean's the first male non-offensive player. I believe there was a female defender who won the Tewaaraton. I don't remember her name, but this is a girl positive podcast. So.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go.
Good job,
There
Tharp.
we go.
Way to almost give us all the information. Appreciate that.
Also, it's funny because it's someone who's involved in the sport because her husband is all over Twitter. Like anytime someone would tweet like the first defender, he'd be like, not the first, the second. So it's just like I love a man standing up for his woman. Go again. I'm not looking it up, but it's just if you just go to any tweet about Shawn Lyght, that guy's under the replies of saying my wife was won the Tewaaraton first. So
also, I don't know
we respect a loving husband here.
A little backhand to the face of Tony Terranova. Hey, Glock, you're the college guy on the podcast. No love for Nova over there from you, Tharp? Come on.
No. No, that's not what I meant. You're the guy that was texting us.
I didn't take any offense. I'm not there yet.
You were the guy texting us novellas about your final your seating and locations. Tony, besides the games you reffed, did you watch more than 10 college games this year?
Definitely watch more than 10 college games, but
maybe.
Glock definitely went to
it was more of a like you're like the John Rothstein of our group. It's like when it turns to March, like that's John Rothstein's time. Like when it turned to May, you're our lacrosse guru. I couldn't tell. You were guessing who's going to be doing flights. You were looking up flight trackers and.
I was glad we got to the point where sometimes you ask me for questions about calls where you used to only ask Glock for the last year and a half. So I feel like I've made improvements.
It's small
victories. You took that the wrong way. I just meant like
I was not offended by it at all. Glock's just trying to stir the pot.
I am just trying to stir the pot.
We're united.
All right, let's talk. Give you a quick recap of the stuff that's worth mentioning off of the first two rounds of the NJS IAA playoffs in 2026. Nova alluded to it at the top. In round one, only 3 upsets, 2 8-9 games. Parsippany Hills defeated Columbia in a 9-8 game victory, and I'm talking seeds here, 9-8. Another 9-8 victory. Red Bank Regional defeated Middletown South, and the biggest upset of round one was Stirling, and congratulations to Stirling. We did some preliminary research, and I feel pretty good about this. So I apologize if I'm wrong. I'll leave the door open to being wrong, but I feel pretty good about saying this is the first win, playoff win in Stirling's program history. After losing to Cinnaminson 11-4 in the first meeting of the season, they came back. So they lost 11-6 and then came back to win in the playoffs 11-4 over Cinnaminson. Head coach Clint Wiley and his son Carson Wiley had a monster season for Stirling, 126 points for Carson Wiley. So definitely worth mentioning them. Congratulations to them. And if you win for the first time in the playoffs in school history, you're going to get a mention on the Lax Pod.
I actually have some Stirling. I have some Stirling lore, and I just remember this when I was the head coach at Petty in 2019. It was Stirling's like transition year. You know how you have to be like a JV program for 2 years or whatever. So they were in their transition period to a varsity team, and they came up to Petty and we scrimmaged Stirling back in 2019. So, that's pretty cool to see them where they're at now. And, I happen to watch them in their games this year just because of scouting and stuff. And, they're definitely a talented program. So, it's crazy how connected we are in this lax world.
No doubt. Small world in New Jersey lacrosse for sure. As we moved into round two, a couple of games worth mentioning. Randolph defeated Ramapo 7-6. A triple overtime game in the non-publics. Pingree defeated Bergen Catholic 6-5 in a 10 seed versus over 7 seed. Pingree now is the highest seed remaining in the tournament, though as Tharp will point out, they are like some quasi half round behind where the rest of the public schools are because of there being 24 teams in the non-public bracket versus only 16 in the public school brackets. In a 6-3 upset in round two, Bernards defeated Madison 7-6, and Bernards, as the 6th seed, is the highest remaining public school team in the state tournament. Shout out to Allentown beating Wall 7-6 in overtime today, Tuesday, as we record this, in a Tony Terranova prediction as it being the best game of the day. Anything as we meant, all those games that we just shouted out there, guys, what stuck out to you?
I think the biggest one was Pingree. It was funny. Someone reminded me earlier in the year, in the midst of our heavyweight battles about Pingree, I made a comment that if Pingree scores 6 goals in a game, they're gonna likely win. And ironically enough, they got to 6 in triple overtime. Um, Eli Ziv sank the game winner. It's like we talked about. No, you said it really well over text message. Pingree's defense continues to be absolutely incredibly stout. They face a totally different monster against Delbarton tomorrow. But as we've talked about too many times to count, Delbarton has shown offensive struggles this year, and against Pingree zone, if they're not locked in, anything could happen. Especially come state playoff time, you give big face-off advantage to Kane Quinault and Delbarton. So it feels like Delbarton's going to get a lot of cracks at the net, but overall, I think Pingree was the biggest surprise. But also shout out to Bernards. Logan Stevens continues to do great things. I know Tony probably wanted to talk about them a little bit, and I think he actually watched the game. But
Yeah, I got to watch. I was watching the game as I went to the second half of the Cherokee Eastern game, since that's right in my backyard. So I was kind of just going back and forth, and Burner started off hot, 5-1, which kind of ended with first quarter. I don't know, it's making its way right now on the gram. But a 100-yard pass, well, I guess it's 90-yard pass from Max Caldwell with like 4 seconds left, finds Logan Stevens and he scores with like 0.3 seconds left on the clock to kind of just keep that momentum going for them. Madison came back, made a fight, and then Logan Stevens got the game-winning goal with a little bit left on the clock. To get the job done. And again, that's just a huge win. A lot of people are certainly counting out Burns, and Burns is the high seed remaining besides Pingree. So I think that's just a massive game. And Madison was certainly talking a pretty big game. I think Burns delivered. So it was that's why you play the game. You got it's 0-0 for a reason. And then everything else is good. It's good to see RBR come back, beat Middletown South after they lost to him first time, and come back and win 15-5. So start Parsippany Hills being Columbia, getting a win there. So I think there's just a lot of really good lacrosse happening, and in those games that were supposed to be happening. Those 8-9s, those 7-10s, and now obviously those are those 4-5s now. I think but again, it's just a little show at what lax numbers bring to the table. And again, I think it's another conversation to be had about how ridiculous these first round and honestly a lot of these second round games are. And I think there needs to be a bigger conversation about it, whether it's breaking it up into two different brackets, whether it's reducing the number of teams. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, but I know Glock did a spreadsheet, put a lot of time into it. I know we were, doing a lot of time on our own, but the amount of running time in the first round game, I think was staggering, like 70%. The score, the plus minus of teams that were supposed to win, it's you probably would lose your breath at what that number actually is. It's just not. It just kind of defeats the purpose of what I think the playoffs and what high school sports in general are trying to accomplish. And every sport, we want to make it the same, but not everything's the same. And a lot of these teams are trying to just their last game is just getting absolutely obliterated. And it's kind of ruins the mojo for a lot of these teams that had their most wins. Ever there's teams that had their most wins and they're losing by 25 goals. So I mean, it's kind of being the purpose a little bit, and I hope there's a better way to go about it in the future, and I hope there's people that take notice of that.
Don't give away
I think
all the
the
proposals
problem
just
is
yet.
that like
Go ahead, Tharp.
you have to find a catch-all, right, Glock? Like you can't piecemeal brackets together, right? Because it's like Group 3 North, 16 teams is fine, but like we said, like 3 South, you can make that a 2-team bracket, right? Like it's like that's the problem you're going to keep running into is like when you have to, we can't pick and choose how we do this stuff. But it's crazy. Like Nova, we were like Shawnee was a 39 goal favorite in the first round. Like Rumson, I think, was a 34 goal favorite. Like we watched Ridgewood hang 28 on a team in the first round. Like,
And again,
I
a
don't know
lot
the
of these teams
solution.
could do more. I mean, lacrosse, I think
Oh yeah,
we are very
100%.
respectful in a lot of ways. Sometimes we'll get carried away from time to time, and we get called on that pretty quickly. But there's a lot of teams that were up like 18-0 in the first half, and they're like, okay, well, you can only score if you never scored a goal before if you're a senior for the whole second half, and like that's it. Just force feed those guys and whatever. Like, and then maybe they got to 19 because one of those two guys scored a 20. But like some of these scores were literally could be on pace for those spreads. I mean, Shawnee could have put up probably 60 goals if they really wanted to. But obviously all these coaches are respectful. They know what the situations are. But it's again, there's no team above an 8 besides Pingree right now. Again, when they're like that half playoff behind because there's 24 teams, but 1 through 8, it's out. That's all there's left. There's no upsets. There's nothing crazy going on. I think one time in the last 10 years, I remember doing this. There was maybe an 11 seed that got to pass this round, but other than that, like it's they're just so lopsided. It's kind of like what are we doing here?
So I'm going to say something that's very unreferee-like, by the way, and this may be the most controversial take that I may ever have on this podcast.
Oh wow!
Did we learn nothing from watching Syracuse win the national championship in 2009? And I know not everybody has that memory on the tip of their memory banks or on the tip of their tongue. And if you don't, you should YouTube it real fast. Syracuse down a goal with almost no time left in regulation in the Natty against Cornell, and there's a floating pass up ahead to an attackman who is seemingly somehow behind everybody, and I'm watching this game down the shore Memorial Day weekend with my goalie from college, now turned outstanding official Brian Fuchs, and he was apoplectic because the only thing he turned to me and say after he got done just like crying, why didn't the goalie just go cross-check that guy in the face? Cross-check him in the face and they win the national championship. What are we doing? Just go foul the guy. Do something. That long pass in that game, I'm going to say it. Just go cross-check that guy in the face, okay? And you probably don't give up that goal. We don't go to overtime. You win the game, all right? Now, I say this tongue-ish in cheek, okay, because I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating cross-checking anybody in the head. Not at all. But there's something to be said about, like, can't really let that happen in that game. But I digress. So there you go. Done with my hot takes for the day.
Is that John Galloway angle?
No, because it was scored on the Cornell goalie. Cornell sent it. I'm sorry, Syracuse sent it to overtime.
Yeah, you're right. Can I have 2 seconds to complain?
You can. You know what, Tharp? You could have like 3.
Okay.
Wow.
I had like a bit of an epiphany this weekend. We played in the state tournament. We lost to Don Bosco. It was a really competitive game through the first quarter, and all this talk about shot clock and stuff. And when you are the team I coach, playing against Don Bosco, there's certain things that you have to do to win the game, right? And one of them is um, possessing the ball, not necessarily stalling. I don't think passing the ball in a circle, you know, could be considered stalling, whatever. But basically, if we want to try and win the game, right? I'm not gonna stand there and be like, get the ball over the midline and attack the goal. So it's the first quarter, and we're not getting stripped. We're passing the ball, and the box coach like looks and is like, "This is disgusting. I don't even know what this is." And I sat there and I said to myself, you know, we're all here to win the game, right? Like we're here to find a way to win, and I think that like I had this like epiphany of like I do think in some ways the shot clock is great for our sport. I truly do. But in some ways, I do think, it could hurt taking away some of those, Cinderella opportunities. And, um, you know, I just think that, like, as coaches, and if you think you're doing it the right way, if you can justify to your team, this is our game plan for this game. And, if you've been doing things, the right way the whole season, like, why are we here to like criticize or like put down how teams try and win games, especially the postseason? And I think that it's like when you see some of these tighter games as we get a little closer, and it's like, man, think about what winning a championship or winning a playoff game does for a school and a team and the momentum of a program. And I think that like we as coaches and we as fans of the sport need to like have that reminder sometimes that like especially at this point of the season, like teams are trying to win for the right reasons. And I think that like we should respect that. And like it was cool, like, it wasn't like I wasn't I didn't feel belittled. I didn't feel like it wasn't hostile, but it was like, I think that like sometimes it's okay to like do whatever it takes to win. And like imagine that like you said, Glock, that Cinderella story, like that miracle Syracuse comeback, right? Like I think those stories are cool. And I think it's like as we continue on and as we play these games and like let's have a little respect for each other as coaches and as respect towards the officials and stuff of like everybody wants to win at this point. And I think, some of us have to win by marching 1 inch at a time, and some of us can, bring out our bazookas and score from 15 yards. So that's my 2 second rant. It was just on my mind.
We're going to take you back to school to reorganize in your head just how long 2 seconds is, but point well
We
made.
can cut that.
Point well made. We will never cut anything from this podcast, Tharp. Let's take a look. But I agree with you. All right, it's the playoffs. You do what you got to do to win. Let's take a look ahead here. I have to shout out my Homedale guys because apparently I am now Captain Homedale as I've been anointed behind the scenes. Only 2 timeouts a half, boys. Remember that. They play Sparta
You're
in
Captain
the.
Hornet. That's your new name, Captain Hornet.
That's what it is. I have no Homedale gear. I'm sorry. Otherwise, I would rock it on the pod right now. They play the 2-3 game again, going up to Sparta. And in Group 3 North, Chatham, Randolph, and Scotch Plains Summit will headline probably the day. We can get back into that in a second. And a couple other pretty interesting ones, I think. Bridgewater will play Westfield in a game that I'll bet you is going to be close, given how well both of those teams are coached. Bernard's playing about as well, kind of shades of Glen Ridge from last year with how well Bernard's is playing right now. They go down to Haddonfield to play at the end of this week. The aforementioned Glen Ridge team will take on Rumson in a rematch of this exact same round last year where Glen Ridge upset Rumson. So that game is big on the schedule. Kingsway, Washington Township in 4 South, they play a rubber match as they have split games so far this season. And then non-public A, assuming everything holds, because again, we're around behind. But if the favorites all come out of their games tomorrow, that is Wednesday, we should Friday or Saturday have the semifinals, which will be the top seed Seton Hall taking on number 4 St. Augs, and second seeded Del Barton taking on third seeded Don Bosco. So boys, of everything that I've mentioned there, what sticks out to you as we move into the end of this week?
Got it, Tony.
For me would be Scotch Plains Summit. Certainly want to see that game and how it kind of goes when there's a champion, when there's a playoff on the line and someone's going home. That one certainly has a lot of interest. I just think that whole group in general has so much investment from me. I think it's the best group. I think whoever comes out of that North group is going to certainly have be a heavy favorite, as Chatham already kind of dismantled Shawnee a little bit. But again, the game starts 0-0 for a reason. And then Birds and Haddonfield, I think Birds is like you said, is on a little bit of a hot streak right now. I don't think there's anyone really in the state period, let alone on Haddonfield, that can stop Logan Stevens. So coach is going to have to come up with a very good game plan to get him not touching the ball, get the ball out of his stick. But he's such a great player. I think he's going to find a way to put the ball in the back net a few times. So I think that game is going to be a lot closer than people expected. As they go into this upcoming week.
I think for me, like I'm super fascinated by Glenridge Rumson. I think it's like one of those games where it's like it's gonna go one of two ways for Rumson. Like it's either gonna be super motivating and like drive them and be like, hey, this is the round we lost in last year. We should have never lost, blah blah blah. Or it could, bring back really bad memories and bring back those those moments of doubt or whatever. So I think the way Rumson's playing, it's gonna be the former for sure. They are playing with swagger, intensity, coming off a short conference championship. But Glenridge has shown, they are built for the postseason. And here they are again, the lower seeded team traveling to Rumson. So I'm fascinated by that. And then obviously non-public. Glock and I were speaking before the podcast. To me, I can't believe that they're just not hosting the semifinals at a neutral site somewhere. Like those are literally the four of the six best teams in New Jersey. Like why is this not at a neutral site? And especially when you consider how like some of the seeding got a little wonky with St. Augustine beating those teams. Like it feels really dumb that they have to go to Seton Hall. But I digress. Those games are going to be absolutely fantastic. Could Pingree and Del Barton be a tight one? Absolutely. Could I see Gill and Bosco being a tight one? Absolutely. But so many of these games happen to be rematches that we've kind of seen them already. That we kind of want to, there's so much excitement around those top two teams, that those top four teams. I can't wait for. I think those games are Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. But those games are going to be so entertaining. It really is a shame that are just not at one site. Like we talk about like a recruiting event. Like imagine those four teams at one venue. Like you could sell that to college coaches pretty easily. But I digress once again.
Those games might even be on Saturday.
Yeah.
Even
No
better.
doubt.
Yeah, because they all play tomorrow, and so I would assume that 2 days, and they probably play on Saturday.
Tomorrow's
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I'm not even gonna talk about those teams until when it actually happens, and they will get their they will certainly each get more than enough speak time from us in the next episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then obviously Glock, you touched on it, Bridgewater and Westfield. Um, at the midpoint of the season, Glock, you put your finger on Bridgewater. You said they're a team that's going to be there. I think the face-off dot's going to be so important in this game. I know Crivelli for Bridgewater has faced off really well. I think Spade is the guy for Westfield. Um, that's going to be the battle, man. It's going to be who's going to win the possessions, and then is Westfield defensively going to be able to slow down Cifuentes and Cardilla, and then on the other end, you got to assume Mikey Bradis is going to be covering Waldman at attack. So is Westfield going to be able to create high level opportunities. I can't wait for this one. I could easily see this being 1 or 2 possession game in the fourth quarter.
I think I'm going to lean towards that Bernards Haddonfield game as a game that intrigues me a lot. I was outsizedly impressed with Haddonfield when I saw them against Westfield. I truthfully did not think that game was going to be nearly as tight as it was, and I think Haddonfield could have easily won that game if they cleared the ball. That we're just talking about catching and throwing. So to me, that's a game that I'm super interested in because I think that that's a sneaky high level game right there, in a sea of, we can get caught up in the non-public semifinals at the end of the week and maybe lose sight of some pretty good games there. All right, if we talked about my potential stall warning before, then I got nothing else for you boys.
I don't have the sheet open. Talk to me about the stall warning.
Did we talk, Tharp, on the podcast about coolest places to play a lacrosse game, or was that just in our text group?
I vividly, you might have mentioned, because I think you talked about Ocean City a little bit, but I don't.
Yeah, I can't remember if we did that on the pod or not, but.
All right. Let's go up with one right off the head. Right, let's shoot from the hip right now. All right. When you were an active athlete, what was your go-to either like your pump up song or like your favorite movie to watch on the bus going to an away game?
Okay, first off, let's pump the brakes on watching movies on the bus. Okay, I graduated high school in 1999. Okay, we did not have mobile devices.
So maybe as a ref,
he didn't have a
like...
TV when he was growing up. Why do you think he has 18 now? He's just trying to relive the glory days. No, he didn't have it.
We had a boombox and a cassette tape with Rage Against the Machine going, baby. Okay, Bulls on Parade on the bus on the way to lose to Bergen Tech 18-2, baby. All right, that's what we were rolling with in year one at St. Peter's Prep. There was in college, we lost a playoff game my freshman year down at Drexel, and I remember listening to Kryptonite by Three Doors Down on the way home and like struggling with the fact that I was like big mad that we lost in the playoffs and liking the song, and I was like, I'm not allowed to enjoy this right now. So there you go. Also, again, back when you had to wait for songs to come on the radio because you could not play them whenever you wanted. Okay, that was a thing, people.
It's funny now, like I love classic rock and stuff. So like I listen to the music with my kids now, and like when we're driving in the car, my daughter Haley she's like, "Dad, is this like our rock out song?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is our rock out song." And like, I've taught them how to do like the jam in their hands.
Yeah,
So
Pink Pony
we're
Club.
loving our rock out music. I resonate with your Kryptonite and that type of music for sure.
Please tell me that you don't consider like Three Doors Down, Kryptonite to be classic rock.
No, I'm like no. I'm just saying like that. Like you're like the headbanging music resonates with me.
Okay,
And
so
like,
I'm gonna follow up.
We've been listening. We've been really into. I've been teaching them some Bruce Springsteen. I've been trying to get them into Thunder Road. We listen. I like all the Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, like that stuff, because that's what me and my dad listened to growing up. So it's like I'm trying to show them the ways.
Not the
And
fact
then they're
that
like, "Can you put on Moana?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can listen."
Gotta
The
have
fact-
some Moana. Come on now.
that is what you consider to be classic rock. We're gonna make a playlist maybe, and we'll post it to the Instagram site, because that, my friend, is not classic rock. Okay, that is like
What about like
80s
do you
rock.
put Journey as classic rock?
Yes, Journey classic rock.
Yeah, I love
Creedence
Journey.
Clearwater Revival.
I like the Sticks.
Okay, Cream. Like I could keep going here, but you need to like rewind 14, 15 years previous to Bruce, but and Bon Jovi and those guys. to get to what classic rock is for most of the. I guess what am I Gen X? Is that what era
Well,
I'm in?
we've been really cruising to. I'll tell you the exact Spotify playlist is Journey Radio. So it's been Journey Radio. So a lot of Fleetwood Mac on there.
Okay,
Um,
all right,
yeah.
I'm in.
All
I'm
right,
in on that.
Glock. Besides Ocean City, what's your a top high school venue for you?
The two that were coming to my mind, and the reason I thought of this because I was talking about Haddonfield. I think Haddonfield is a sneaky cool place to play. It's tree lined in the back there, and it's just like a cute little venue that's tucked into a neighborhood that has some character, and I obviously feel the same way about this other place that I'm going to say, and it's Manasquan. Manasquan plays on a field that's like basically you're walking down the block and you're like, hey, look, here's a high school field with a 4-foot fence that you could just stop on the sidewalk and stand there and peer over, and the rowdies get rowdy there on that side of the field, and the kids are on the near side, and it just feels like you're in a bit of a fishbowl. And to me, it's the reason why I like the county tournaments. When you add atmosphere to a game and you get the crowd going a little bit and you can't hear too much except for when you're right up next to them, you can hear every single word that they say, which that gets me going, baby. I
When
feed
Manasquan
off
tries
that.
to throw you off, and they put you on that back grass field with holes all over just to mess with you.
Yeah, can't have it, can't win with it. Sorry. Yeah. I need the tucked in field. What do you think, Nova?
There's definitely some really nice fields. I mean, Mount Olive has a freaking like stadium setup. The
Yeah.
one side of the bleachers is, completely, covered. So, any type of weather condition, you got a great spot. I mean, that is probably, at least in terms of being a spectator, probably the nicest place to post up for sure.
Well, that's why we did the TOC final there a couple of years. As we were searching for a home there. That my only problem with Mount Olive is compared to where I live, it's on the moon. So like I need a spaceship to get there, and it's hard. So there's that.
And again, you can't go wrong with Seton Hall. It's the only high school to have a bar literally attached to the driveway, so the parking lot. So yeah, I'm sure it's a fan favorite for a lot of parents out there.
No doubt about it. I can't argue with that one at all. All right. Anything else, boys, as we wrap this one up?
You didn't even ask me.
Oh, sorry, Tharpy. I thought you were just ditching our traditional question for you wanted to share classic rock that wasn't classic rock. But go ahead. Where do you like to play?
Well, when you just said your neck of the woods, you just remind me. I think Notre Dame has a nice setup with I think their bleachers kind of overlap the field. I think that's a pretty cool setup. I like some of the I'll call them a little more historical. Coaching at Ridgewood High School was a really cool experience. Um, as a parent, I think Montclair has a really cool setup. They have the little playground like right behind the field. I think that's a pretty unique experience. I'm super biased towards Pingree. Obviously, I think having their own unique lacrosse field up there, Babbitt Field, is really unique. And then I know people hate playing there, but our little grass dojo at Rutgers Prep, people hate playing on grass, but I gotta Glock was worried about rolling an ankle, but our little grass dojo, it's become our little home down there. But uh, I do have a love for the classics for sure.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody does like playing there. But I digress. Boys,
Where Widow Keith doesn't want to break a sweat on the grass.
I have no problem with breaking a sweat. I just don't really want to break my ankle while I'm breaking a sweat.
Hey, that was pristine grass. No holes. You made it through unscathed.
Pristine. We gotta reevaluate how we feel about what
You need to go back
qualifies
to
as.
school to learn about time and the definition of pristine. Got it.
That's it. That's it. Although according to Tharp, he
I'll
does.
send you a picture next time. There's a fresh trim. Grass is nice and level.
That's fine. You give me a nice little level grass field, which that field is not, and I'm in. So you got to figure out pristine grass. But one thing you don't have to figure out is definitely biology, because your biology skills about what qualifies as a head and neck, right on point this year. Whole year.
Yeah, right on point. Definitely not flag worthy either.
Nope. Not even a little.
If that hit occurred in the NCAA tournament, 2 minutes locked in, and I'm not getting banged. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Too many inside jokes here in the last minute, but we'll put a wrap on episode 15. Guys, episode 15, we're coming near to the end. We are about to head into 2 weeks of what are going to be amazing lacrosse games in the state of New Jersey. So if you don't have a plan to get out and see them in person, I know stuff is streamed. I would urge you, as the weather looks like it's going to be beautiful, get out in person and see the games. Create the atmosphere that we all love, and experiencing it firsthand is just different than watching it on a live stream. So get out there and see it. Tharp, congratulations on a great season over there at Rutgers Charter. And Terra Nova, congratulations as yours continues to roll on this week. Hopefully you and I will have another one before this thing is over. And maybe we can convince Big State Sports or Jersey Shore Sports, if you're listening, to do a Pat McAfee-esque NJ Laxpod companion broadcast. I think we would be open to discussing the particulars and what have yous of making that a reality as the season rolls on. That is a real offer for anybody listening. So that's it, boys. Thank you for a great episode.
Thank you.
All right. This is episode 15 of the New Jersey Lacrosse Podcast. Tune in over the next couple of weeks. We will see you back here next Monday. See ya.